Let's be real for a second. The phrase business ethics, it kind of makes your eyes glaze over, right? Sounds a little dry. But what if we ditch the textbook definition and think of it as, well, a series of gut check moments, those tough calls that really show what you're made of? So let's get into it because who you are as a person doesn't just clock out when you clock in for work.
So picture this. You're slammed. The deadline is looming, and your boss comes over and says, hey, just cut a few corners. We got to get this done. All of a sudden, ethics isn't some high and mighty idea, is it? Nope. It's that knot forming in your stomach. It's a decision you have to make, like, right now. And how do you even begin to make a choice like that? Well, that's exactly what ethics is for. It's not just some word in a dictionary. Think of it as your moral compass, the framework you use to figure out right from wrong, especially when things get complicated. To really unpack all this, we're going to look at it through a few different lenses, kind of like zooming out on a camera. And we're starting with the tightest shot, the individual lens. See, before you can have an ethical company, you have to have ethical people. It all starts with you. So our motivations kind of break down into two big buckets. You've got your terminal values. That's the what. It's the end goal, getting that promotion, making a certain amount of money. Then you have your instrumental values. That's the how. How do you get there? Are you honest? Are you courageous? And the really tough ethical spots, they happen right where these two collide. Do you bend your how to get to your what? So why do good people sometimes do bad things? Well, they rationalize. They tell themselves little stories to make it okay. Hey, it's not technically against the law. Or, look, this is really what's best for the team. My favorite is, nobody's gonna find out anyway. These are just mental gymnastics we do to justify things we know are wrong. But it's not just about our personal little justifications. Let's zoom out to our second lens, the frameworks. Now, don't think of these as boring philosophy. Think of them as 4 different tools in a toolbox that you can pull out to analyze a tricky situation from all sides. Each one of these tools asks a really different question. The utilitarian view asks, what's best for the most people? Individualism asks, what's best for me in the long run? The moral rights view asks, does this violate anyone's basic human rights? And the justice view asks, is it fair? And here's the kicker. The very same decision can look totally fine through one lens and completely unethical through another. That's why this stuff is so hard. Let's really drill down on that last one, the justice view. In a work environment, you could argue this is one of the most important, because it's not just about who gets what. It's about whether the process of getting there and how people are treated along the way is fair from the get-go. And we can actually break fairness down even more. So say 2 people are up for a promotion. Procedural justice means, was the same process applied to both of them? Distributive justice asks, did the most deserving person actually get the job? Interactional justice is all about how the news was delivered, were both people treated with respect? And commutative justice just means, is the whole deal fair for everyone involved? It's all connected. All right, time to pull back and zoom out one more time to our third lens, the organization itself. I mean, you can be the most ethical person in the world, but you don't work in a bubble, right? The company culture, your boss, the pressure, all of that can either prop up your personal ethics or, well, start to tear them down. And if you think that pressure to cut corners is rare, think again. A whopping 56% of workers in the US say they have felt pressured to do something unethical at work. That's more than half. So this isn't some few bad apples problem. It's often baked into the system, coming straight from the top. So what do you do when you're in that spot? When you're feeling that pressure? Here's a super practical checklist. It basically forces you to hit pause, take a breath, get your facts straight, and really think through your options. It's a fantastic way to bring some clear-headed logic into what can be a really emotional, high-stakes moment. Now, step 6 on that list? That's the one. That's the real gut check, the spotlight question. And this one right here is maybe the most powerful of all. It just slices right through all those rationalizations we talked about. If the thought of your decision being on the front page of the news makes you queasy, that's a pretty giant red flag, isn't it? But what if it's not just one decision? What if the entire system seems broken? That's when someone might make the unbelievably brave and difficult choice to become a whistleblower. These are people who put their entire careers on the line to expose wrongdoing, basically saying, if the organization won't fix this, I will. Okay, for our final, widest angle, let's zoom all the way out to society. This brings us to a huge question.
what is a business actually for? Is its only job to make money for shareholders? Or does it have a bigger responsibility to the world it operates in?
I mean, people have been fighting over this for ages. On one side, you've got the classical view from guys like Milton Friedman, who basically said a company's one and only job is to make as much profit as legally possible. But on the other side, the socioeconomic view from people like Paul Samuelson argues that no, businesses have a much broader duty to society. And today, a new idea is kind of settling that debate. It's called the triple bottom line. And it says we shouldn't just measure a company by its profits, we should also measure its impact on people and its impact on the planet. Profit, people, planet. Those are the 3 Ps of a truly modern, successful company. This leads to a really cool shift in thinking. It's not about profit versus people anymore. The idea of shared value says that businesses can actually make more money by solving social problems. By creating value for society, you create economic value for the company. It's not a trade-off. It's a total win-win. So, where is all this headed? What does the future of business look like? Well, it looks like a future where ethics isn't just a department or a training seminar. It's woven right into the DNA of what it means to be a company. And at the heart of that future is this idea of sustainable development. It's about thinking beyond next quarter's earnings report and asking a much deeper question. Are the things we're doing today creating a world that future generations can actually live in and thrive in? And this isn't just a nice thought, it's actually being written into corporate law. We're seeing the explosion of new legal structures like the Benefit Corporation or B Corp. These are for-profit companies that are legally required to consider their impact on everyone, their workers, their community, the environment, not just shareholders. And this whole movement is being championed by a new type of leader, the social entrepreneur. We're talking about people like Muhammad Yunus, who started Grameen Bank to give tiny loans to the poor. These are innovators who see a social problem and use business as the tool to solve it. Their mission comes first. Which really brings us to this final big question to chew on. What if we just completely changed how we measure success? What if a company's real profit was its revenue minus the cost of its negative impact on the world? What kind of world would that create? Something to think about.